Hello Commanders, how's it going? In this video, I will be talking about the matchmaking in War Robots and how it's a bit crappy at the moment. Okay, so let's face it, all of us have been in battles where we've gone against a really powerful opponent and they've checked the other team and they're basically leagues above you or leagues below. So the whole point of this video is to figure out why that happens. So if I sort of backtrack to last year, I created a video talking about how I thought matchmaking had been fixed. But fast forward till the present day, which is today, August 2021, and we're on version 7.3.1 of Raw Robots. So at the moment, for me personally, matchmaking is a bit of a hit and a miss. It's not as bad as last year, but it is still pretty bad in the sense that I'm facing Champion League players and I'm in Master 3. So I want to try to figure out what's going on. And to help you with this, I'm going to refer to a Pixonic video from last year where they do a good job at illustrating to us as players how the matchmaking works. So in a nutshell, in that video, they basically said the matchmaking system is based on league and that's it. So it's got nothing to do with your robots, nothing to do with your robot levels, nothing to do with your weapons, nothing to do with your modules, nothing to do with your pilots, and nothing to do with your motherships. It's all about leagues. So then they then go through the trouble of explaining how the matchmaking process works. So it works like this: when you hit the go to battle button, the matchmaking system will try to match you with a player of your equivalent level or league. So for example, if you're a Master League level 2, the matchmaking system will try to match you up with a Master League level 2 player, which makes sense. But one of the details that they sort of glossed over was that matchmaking, the whole process occurs in fractions of a second. So what they mean by that was, let's just say for example the matchmaking system can't find players, or let's just say your whole team, let's just say you're Master Player 2 and the matchmaking system can't match you with other Master level 2 players. What it will do, it will basically relax those rules a little bit. So it will then look for players in the Master League level 1 or Master League level 3. But we know for a fact that sometimes as a Master League level 1 player or even an Expert League level 1, you're going to come across a Champion League player. So what that means is it's actually expanding quite a lot. So the minute you hit go, it's trying to find the equivalent league player, but then for some reason within a couple of seconds, it's now matched you with a crazy OP Champion League player or a crazy low Silver League player, for example. So that's, I think, the biggest trouble with the matchmaking system is the fact that they want games to start as quickly as possible, which is understandable. I've seen players complain about how long it takes to get into a match, but if I go back about 2 years ago when I started playing, it did take about 20 to 30 seconds for me to get into battles. So they have reduced that number quite a lot, and they've done that by, I believe, by expanding the range in which leagues you're matched with. The other thing that's also helped improve the speed of matchmaking is by merging the platforms. So I think this happened maybe a year and a half ago, where they basically merged the iOS and Android player base. Now what that meant was that there was a massive pool of players now that the matchmaking system could try to match you with, and that also reduced how long it took for you to get into battle. So props to Pixonic for creating that sort of crossover and reducing the amount of time it takes for matchmaking. But the trouble really is, why are we still facing players that are in different leagues and that are kicking our butts? So obviously my first explanation was that basically the matchmaking time is too short. So what they said in the video was that matchmaking occurs in fractions of a second. So what that really tells me is that if the game can't find a player that's in your league, it's going to expand that really quickly just so that you can get to a battle quicker. And that's obviously going to have a negative effect where we basically play against players who are either overpowered or underpowered, just for the sake of creating a quick game. So a lot of you might say, well, why don't we just increase the amount of time it takes to matchmake? That is an option. However, I believe a lot of people might complain that matchmaking might take too long, and I don't think Pixonic want. I think Pixonic want people to jump into games as soon as possible, because obviously players are eager to play, and that's the whole point. When you want to go to battle and get into a game as soon as possible. So I don't think Pixonic will release. I don't know personally if for example it's a problem or issue where lots of players are complaining about why am I being faced with Champion League players or underpowered players. I don't think Pixonic will do anything about it. But the whole point of this video is try to explain to you why it happens. One of the things that I thought about was maybe it's a geographical thing. So for example, if there are a lot of players based in Europe and there's not so many players based in America, that means that when an American player wakes up and plays the game, there must be less players for that American player to play against. So what's happening is the matchmaker saying, okay, there's not enough players online, therefore we need to expand the matchmaking search to make it wider, which might explain why we are facing like players from different leagues. That's one of the explanations I could think of. The other thing really was how long they're taking for matchmaking to occur. So maybe they're not giving it enough time, but like I said, people will complain that matchmaking is taking too long. However, like I don't think it's entirely true that it's just based on your league, because what I've noticed is that I could be on like a proper losing streak, and I mean like it's outrageous. Like I'm going up against champion. So I'm in Master 2. I'd go up against Champion League players, and I'm not lying. 4 to 5 games in a row, I'm losing, and then soon as I lose the last game, I then jump into a game straight away with the same amount of matchmaking time, playing against really lower level players. So I will play against maybe expert players, and then I have this winning streak. I'm thinking, wow, I'm doing really well, but in actual fact, my opponents are really low powered. So I think there's a bit more to it rather than just the rather than it being the leagues. I think Pixonic are doing something to sort of give you a winning and losing streak, but there's not really a lot we can do about that. So that's really my view about matchmaking. I think they're purposely matching us against really powerful players for some reason. I don't know, maybe for like, I don't know what, I honestly can't think of any reason other than monetization why they would sort of match you up with really powerful players. So I can't really explain it away. I don't really know this, but however I can quantify what I'm saying is if you yourself go into a battle and just like record how many battles you've won in a row and how many battles you've lost in a row, you think, hang on a minute, this is a bit strange. I mean, if it was fair matchmaking, I can understand losing 1 or 2 battles and then winning another battle, but there's something a bit iffy going on there. So don't take my word for it. Do your research for yourself, try it out for yourself, play a couple of games, write it down, see how long it takes. The other problem I'll talk about is leagues. So a player of the similar league isn't the same, it's not fair. So it all comes down to being not fair. So for example, I might come across a Master League player too who's got Mark 2 stuff, and and has got the same number of trophies, right? For example, let's just say I've got 4,200 trophies and they've got 4,200 trophies, but they've got like Mark 2 stuff. So then the matchmaking system is trying to match me based on just the league, which means I'm going to go up against other Master League players who have better robots and better weapons. So this has been discussed before, whereas in the past, Pixonic used to basically match players based on their weapons, I believe, and I think some people were exploiting that. So then they changed it to this leagues only system. So I don't think at some point they'll revert back to just matching players based on their based on their hangers. So yeah, I don't know what we could do there. Okay, so the $1 million question is this: what can you do about matchmaking and bad matchmaking? And the answer is nothing, because it's not in your control. Other than moving between leagues, you can't do anything about matchmaking. Like, you can't click a button and say match me with fairer players, right, or within the same league. So the only advice I can give you is just to accept that before you go into battle, accept that you might probably face a team that's more powerful than you, but at least you sort of understand why this may be happening. So in part, it's basically the matchmaking system, and it could also be manipulation within the game, which I can't really confirm, but that's what I feel with my experience with basically losing games and winning games and that kind of thing, and being a paying player. So I don't know whether it's stuff they're doing in game to sort of persuade us to pay money to buy better stuff so we can do better in the game. But that's a lot of tactics other games use, and I wouldn't be surprised if Pixonic are using it as well, aren't using it as well in War Robots. So basically, to be honest, is just continue playing the game. When you do start a battle and you're losing, don't quit, because what that means is that you might end up in the lower priority league, which I don't recommend, because it might take you a lot of game hours to get back out of the team, and you also lose out on resources. So definitely don't do that. One thing that I could highly recommend that you do is, let's just say you're this player who goes up against really powerful opponents for the, I don't know, 10 games or so, and you feel as though you have to chop and change your hanger. I'd recommend that you don't do that. My advice is pick a hanger, or one or two hangers, and pick your favorite robots and weapon combinations and just play it out. I think eventually you might drop leagues because, you know, your favorite robots and weapons aren't so powerful, so it's only natural that you're losing, and you're losing points on your league. And so you might end up in a league, let's just say you're master, you might end up in a league where you're expert, and you sort of remain an expert based on your favorite robots and weapons. Okay guys, so that was it, just a video talking about matchmaking and how it could be working. Well, at least from what Pixonic described, it's based on your league, and you can't really do anything about it. It is what it is, but you can do stuff like just continue playing, don't leave battles early, and try to keep your favorite hanger and robots in your hanger despite losing. So a lot of players will chop and change their hangers in order to deal with really powerful opponents, but you know, you're basically changing your favorite robots and weapons that you might not like just to sort of deal with these players. But I'd recommend that in order for the game to remain enjoyable for you, is to keep your favorite robots and weapons in the hangar, which is what I've done. So I've got a lot of meta robots, but I still roll with robots that I have the most amount of fun with, and I'm okay with that. So yeah, that was it. I will catch you soon. Okay, see ya, bye.